Before we begin, I wanted to say first of all, my voice is a little bit different. I have a stuffy nose and I even lost my voice 2 days ago, so I will not sound exactly right. But nevertheless, I wanted to dive into the Platinum Trophy adventure and the experience of Death Stranding 2. Yes, I finally gotten it, it's been a while, let's get into it. So this Death Stranding's Platinum is basically quite, well, it feels very familiar. Like the trophy list is laid out almost the same way as it was from the first game. You earn trophies as you complete each episode. There are 16 episodes, by the way, and most of those episodes' trophies are bronze until the very final one, which gives you the silver for finishing the story. You know, honestly, I always prefer the gold for finishing the main story, but here's the highest story reward is, well, silver. And beyond those, there are around 30 miscellaneous trophies you pick up naturally, finishing standard orders, completing 8 requests, building your first structure, stuff that just happens while you're basically playing the game. Most players will get large chunks of these lists done already without even trying. Now, there's also a handful of more obscure trophies that not exactly everyone will find it in their first run. As an example, you need to track down an albino animal for the shelter, and you have to be in a pretty specific spot to find this animal and then bring it. Now, also there's watching a live performance in your private room, or perhaps studying a night sky. Those feel like little hidden things that might require exploration or perhaps even a guide. So the good news is that there's no missable trophies and I did not encounter any glitched ones. That alone removes a lot of stress. You can also play on the lowest difficulty and still get that platinum, but it is still recommended playing on normal, by the way, because there are some, or at least most of the orders that when you perform them, you will not be able to get the SS rank. Overall the game is easier than the first one, but that doesn't exactly mean that the platinum is quick. It actually took me 95 hours to get the platinum trophy. Even though combat and traversal feels more forgiving, the platinum took me at least 20 hours longer than the first game. And the reason isn't exactly that trophies are harder, it's just that the volume of orders and the time sink involved with leveling up facilities. Some orders require waiting for a reset or doing other missions to trigger progression. That waiting and chasing down reset is what drags things out. Some of my final trophies I got was for maxing facility connection levels across the map, and getting every facility to level 5 ended up being the most tedious part. And to avoid the same pitfall, focus on certain facilities earlier. The ones that caused me the most trouble were, of course, Mr. Impossible and The Adventure, and perhaps some parts of the Ghost Runner as well. And I'll actually add one more facility, East Fort. Whenever you get a quest, order, or request linked to any of those, prioritize it, and like Mr. Impossible is probably the toughest one of the bunch, so do anything that increases his level as soon as you can. The Adventurer was actually the last one I completed, and there was a long gaps with no missions for him and no lost cargo to find, so I ended up waiting for other activities to reset. And if I had concentrated on adventurers related tasks sooner, I would have actually avoided the downtime. And the Ghost Hunter also needs attention earlier on. If you stay on top of those 4 facilities from the mid-game onwards, you'll avoid the panic of being stuck near the end waiting for something to spawn. Now, there are a few other mid to late game trophies requirements worth noting. For example, you need an S rank for certain missions, like 10 deliveries, 10 recoveries, and 10 eliminations with an S rank. Now, they're straightforward, but do demand focus, and just do them earlier as possible and pick the orders that are easy to S rank, and especially those eliminations. I got stuck on that for quite a while, and near the final slot of the trophies, I finally managed to get that trophy. The game's order filtering is definitely your friend here. You can filter orders to show which ones award the most likes, or for example, which ones are elimination specifics, recoveries, or just deliveries. It's such a big help. And of course, you can even go a little further than that, like mentioned, so you can go for the most likes. Some orders give you a few hundred likes and the others give you several hundred. Leaning into the higher value orders gives you more likes per trip and helps you rating of the facilities levels faster. In short, just don't waste time on low value orders unless you need them for a specific trophy. Now, on the subject of the playstyle, the game gives you a lot of freedom with equipment and weapons compared to the first title. Now, there are melee toys, range options, and some delightful weird items. Honestly, some of the weapons feel silly, but they're fun. You don't have to fight. Like, stealth is viable if you want to more like a quieter run. I personally went full aggressive most of the time though. Guns blazing, knockouts, and chaotic melees. But you can play it however you like. This freedom is one of the strengths within this game. If you prefer a slower pace, go stealth. If you want action, the game supports that as well. Now, traversal has changed as well. The map seems to be larger and there's more driving than in the first game. You spend a lot of time behind the wheel if you choose to use a vehicle. Trucks are handy because, well, they can carry massive amount of cargo, but you don't always need so much capacity. There are bikes, lighter options that are faster and more convenient for smaller runs. You can walk everywhere if you want, but it adds dozens of extra hours, of course. You know, I used vehicles quite a lot, and admittedly, the most thing I used was definitely the zipline. A couple of gameplay tips that definitely helped me. One was to use the filters to target high-level missions. They're almost always the best return on your time. 2, whenever that order or a request is linked to one of the key facilities I mentioned, just do them immediately. 3, keep an eye on side quests and facility link quests because many of those unlock bronze and silver trophies as you progress. And these side activities are some of the most enjoyable parts of the game, and I won't spoil them here. Now, as for the feel of the game, is still a delivery game at its heart, but Death Stranding 2 gives you more toys and systems to play with. The characters are memorable. I remember their names and backstories because they're just so well written and distinct, at least to some degree, because yeah, there are some quirkiness in this game. Sometimes many modern games just fail at it, but they just end up being weird in those cases, but in this case, I don't know, it felt joyful. The tone is weird and wacky, sometimes odd, but the world and the casts stuck with me. Now, the mountain regions and the driving routes felt improved compared to the first game. Traversal felt less like a chore in a few places, even if you still spend a lot of time moving between objectives. Now, would I recommend chasing the platinum? Of course, that definitely depends on you. If you love the game and want to collect every trophy, yeah, of course, go for it. The ride is satisfying and the design prevents you from losing progress with missable or glitched trophies. But if you're not a trophy hunter, the platinum is very long and very repetitive in a lot of parts. You can get a great experience simply by finishing the main story and doing a select of the sorts of side quests. The platinum adds a lot of extra time and repetition, mainly driving by facilities, leveling, and order farming. If that kind of grind appeals to you, yeah, I think it's worth it. If it sounds like a chore, enjoy the story and some of the standout side content and just move on. Now, finally, if you did push for the platinum, let me know how long it took you and what you found the most annoying or perhaps the most fun within this game. If you haven't started and perhaps you care about trophies, yeah, like mentioned, first, earlier on, make sure you focus on Mr. Impossible. But before that, make sure you have everything set up around the world. Like, for example, the train, for example, the zip lines, and of course, have proper vehicles in your disposal. And including, yes, the Adventurer and the Ghost Hunter and the East Forts as well. Now, make sure to use and utilize most of the filter within the menu for those high-level orders and just pace yourself. The trophy, the Platinum Adventure path is long, but yeah, it could be a grind for sure. But again, if you have plenty of time to spare, if you love this game, do it. Alright, well, thank you so much for watching. Like and subscribe. I'll see you guys all and have a wonderful day.